Henry, what are you doing here today? It's my at-home day. You promised not to come. Go home at once. Ah, the wonderful Mrs Higgins. Now, I don't know if you are familiar with George Bernard Shaw's works, with Pygmalion in particular. You may actually know the musical version, which is My Fair Lady, which was inspired from the story of Pygmalion, only with some added songs. And it's amazing too. But it was such a blessing to be able to do Pygmalion the play at Malvern Theatres. It feels like a lifetime ago. It was back in spring. It was in April and May. I went off back to Malvern, which is a place that is so close and dear to my heart. I absolutely love it there. And it was amazing to be able to take to the stage again, especially in such a beautiful and inspiring place. Oh, very nicely put, Henry. No girl could resist such an invitation. So playing Mrs Higgins was an absolute blessing. It was a character that I didn't really know. I didn't know a lot about her. And to be honest, I didn't know a lot about George Bernard Shaw. Obviously, I'd heard of him, but I'd never actually studied any of his plays or done any of them. So when I got the invitation to audition for Pygmalion and then I got cast as Mrs Higgins, it was such a joy, and it just felt like such a blessing to be able to take on a new character and go deep into exploring the wonderful world of George Bernard Shaw. So Mrs Higgins is somebody who I always saw her as being the wise one. She is the one that kind of has the bird's eye view of everything that's going on, and she's so savvy, she's so intelligent, she's so switched on as to everything that's going on when other people perhaps can't really see the bigger picture. She has an incredible wit, but she also has a very stern and very fiery side to her. So I loved playing the two different sides of her. I feel there are many shades, and she has some wonderful lines.
No, you two infinitely stupid male creatures. The problem of what is to be done with her afterwards.
I absolutely loved saying them, and a few of my favourites were definitely the men line. Oh, you certainly are a pretty pair of babies playing with your live doll, amongst others. And what I absolutely love about acting in general is finding those moments in between the lines. And something that I didn't really think Pygmalion was until I really kind of got stuck into it was it's actually really funny. There are so many funny moments in it. Yeah, of course, it's a very serious subtext, and there's a lot of issues which are not to be laughed at going on, to do very much with the social classes, and of course women's role in society. And the whole story of Pygmalion is Henry Higgins creates Eliza. He creates his vision of Galatea from the ancient Greek myth, the legend, the story, and he carves this beautiful statue and this vision of a perfect woman, and he makes her a lady without any thought as to what her life is going to be afterwards. It's an experiment for him. It's a whole life that he creates with and for Eliza. But then Eliza is left not knowing where her place is in society, in the world, what's next for her. At least when she was a flower girl, she could make a living, she could do something, she had an identity, she had a purpose. And yeah, of course, she was living in the gutter, if you like, in, you know, the very lowest of classes. And then she's suddenly been brought into this alien world. She's done it beautifully as well. She fits in, and she has some beautiful lines and beautiful monologues, especially towards the end of the play, where she is realizing all of this and questioning and really trying to figure out what's next for her, because she's a lady now. She can't go back and work and sell flowers. What's her purpose? What is her future? And of course, that's something that the infamous Henry Higgins does not give two cares about. He doesn't care. Or does he? Again, there's so many layers to it. Without going down a rabbit hole, but in a nutshell, it's this whole kind of, all of this beautiful, rich subtext that's going on between the characters, especially between Henry Higgins and Eliza Doolittle, and then there's Colonel Pickering as well, and it's all this nucleus of characters, and they have some wonderful monologues, and I highly encourage you to read the play for yourself, and also if you ever get the chance to go and see it on stage, because the way that we did it, it was in the round and it was minimal set. There was no set really. There was a platform in the middle and a column to sit on in the corner. Some very clever set design with just a simple William Morris style cover that went over the steps on the central stand for when Mrs Higgins came on, so that you knew it was a change of scene and it was a new place. So setting the scene for her apartment, which is very elegant and a complete contrast to what we've seen previously with Henry's home. It was really inspiring the way it was done, and with the simplicity of the staging and the set design, there was a real focus and emphasis that Nic Lloyd brought to the directing, and it was all focused on the acting. It was all about the acting, and you could tell when we were doing it, the audiences were really listening and they were finding the humour, and it was only when we got in front of an audience that we really realised how funny it was. And of course we were all playing it straight, as it's the only way I feel with comedy, and we weren't playing for laughs. We were literally just embodying the characters and delivering this beautiful text. It was very similar to Shakespeare. You didn't have to add a lot to it because the words were enough. There were just some wonderful moments that I could never reenact without doing the whole play again. But I think what was really telling and what I really got from it was finding those reactions and those moments. And there were quite a few moments where it was my facial expressions which told the whole story. And of course I was playing a mother and supposed to be a much older lady. So that was a challenge in itself, and a beautiful one at that, was how do you make that believable when I'm not in my 60s, I'm not a mother with a grown son who I worry about. So the substitutions for me as an actress that way were very interesting. Finding the core of Mrs Higgins and doing it in a believable way that worked and that resonated and was understood by the audience. That is my key takeaway, and something again that you'll know yourself if you are an actor or if you're interested in acting. It's very much about finding that element of truth and really getting to the core of the character, and ultimately delivering a believable performance as well as entertaining. Pygmalion for me was just a beautiful mixture. It was everything I could have wished for and more, and it really challenged me in a way, like I've said, for how to play an older character without being melodramatic or acting or fake in any kind of way. And also it really helped me build my confidence again. It's so long since I'd been on stage, and it was a beautiful gift to work in the round. I highly recommend. It is such a different skill, so different when you've got audiences on all sides. And I love camera work. I love film. That is where I really feel at home in front of the camera. Doing it in the round, it did almost feel like I had 4 cameras, as if I was on set, which was really, really beautiful and wonderful to play around with and explore and just find something different in every single performance. It really was a blessing, and I feel so grateful for being able to do that and then to share my experience with you. I hope it's been helpful. Please leave me a comment below, and if there's anything moving forwards that you would be interested to hear about, then I would love to make some more videos, create some more content, something that's going to be interesting and of value to you, preferably. So please give me some pointers if there's anything in my experience that I could share with you that may be of use or helpful to you. And with that being said, I'm going to leave you with some of my favourite quotes and some pictures from the production. My heartfelt thanks to all of you for watching, and also to Nic Lloyd at Malvern Theatres and the whole team there, Rhiannon Williamson and Bridget Lloyd as well as my fellow castmates. It was a wonderful experience, and I hope very much to be back in the rounds sometime soon. Oh, you certainly are a pretty pair of babies playing with your live doll. Henry, sit down. Sit down, dear, and listen to me. Men!